Darth Vader was the menacing cybernetic Sith Lord who slew the enemies of the Empire. But what would have happened if Vader chose to forsake his master and join the Rebel Alliance?
There is no escape. Don't make me destroy you. Luke, you do not yet realize your importance. You have only begun to discover your power. Join me, and I will complete your training. With our combined strength, we can end this destructive conflict and bring order to the galaxy.
Now, you may be thinking, why would Vader ever join the rebellion? The only reason he betrayed and killed Sidious was when Luke was almost murdered. Well, I don't believe that Vader would have joined the rebellion during the rise of the Empire era. This is evident by all of the terrible things he does in this time frame. He's still hunting Jedi, performing massacres, and essentially trying his very best to enforce the Emperor's will. So, for this reason, I think the main and possibly only reason Vader would actually leave the Empire would be because of Luke and Leia. You see, Vader never really got over what he'd lost. He was incredibly depressed about the death of Padme and his children, who he also believed had perished. As well as this, over the course of the Empire, animosity between Vader and Sidious began to develop. Vader was not as effective as Sidious imagined after his injuries on Mustafar. This is actually one of the main reasons he was so willing to replace him with Luke. Now, Vader learns Luke is his son from Boba Fett, who was contracted to discover the identity of the pilot who blew up the Death Star. So, for this theory, I'm going to say that Vader knows Sidious will try to replace him with Luke, but at the same time, he will refuse to kill his son, and decides that he wants to redeem himself by joining his son's cause, as he sees that this will make things right for all of the pretty terrible stuff that he's done in the name of the Empire. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to abandon the dark side, or that he's doing this to be some sort of hero and save the galaxy. He still believes that the dark side is what gives him his power. So, we're gonna say Vader contacts the rebellion and somehow manages to orchestrate his surrender and defection. Now, realistically, majority of the rebellion would probably just say they need to assassinate Vader after interrogating him, but for this theory, we're gonna say they agree. Now, when Vader decides to defect, it's very likely he's going to cause a lot of damage to the Empire, perhaps killing some of the Moffs and high-ranking Imperials on his way out. So, Vader does have a great deal of knowledge about the inner workings of the Empire, how it works, and all of its dark secrets, including things such as the Death Star Mark II's construction and Imperial black sites. However, Vader was always more of a weapon than a tactician, and Sidious has a great deal of secrets that Vader wasn't even privy to. So, Vader would likely serve the rebellion better as a weapon, the same way he did serve the Imperials. A Sith Lord fighting the battles of the rebels would definitely be very effective, breaking Imperial blockades, assassinating high-value targets, and battling the droves of Imperial troops. Now, Vader is going to remain a Sith and be a very useful asset. However, many of the rebel cells would not want to work with him, and would call for his execution. Many of them would have even lost friends and allies to the lethal Sith Lord and his troops. So, Vader being part of the rebellion could possibly cause a lot of damage to the Alliance. However, realistically, the biggest difference would possibly be Luke. Now, for our theory, we're saying that Vader left the Empire to save himself and his son. Now, I think Vader would possibly try to get Luke to fall to the dark side, convincing him that it was the only way to defeat Sidious and it would make him stronger, which at this point Vader would honestly believe. And without guidance from the likes of Yoda, it's very possible that Luke would learn to use the dark side and become his father's apprentice, and that would change things drastically. It's very possible Vader's influence on the rebellion would fracture it and lead to infighting. This would lead to a weakened rebellion, and even with the help of Vader and a dark side using Luke, there would still inevitably be defeated by the Empire. However, if the rebels managed to launch an attack and Vader and Luke were given an opportunity to kill Sidious and succeeded, then it could be quite an interesting series of events. You see, for all intents and purposes, the rebellion would have won and the Empire would have crumbled as it did in our timeline. But the very nature of the Sith contradicts this, and although Luke may have started trying to free the galaxy under the impression of Vader and the dark side, I think that it's very likely that Vader and Luke would attempt to seize power, because that is really what the dark side forces its users to do. Perhaps by killing off some of the rebels' leadership as well as the Imperials, this would leave the galaxy pretty much leadless, and it's very plausible that following these two Sith, who had single-handedly slain the most powerful being in the galaxy, would appear to be a really good idea. So essentially, we're looking at a timeline where Vader is made the Emperor and Luke his apprentice, but in my opinion, the galaxy under the control of the Skywalkers would not be very prosperous. Firstly, neither of them have any experience in leading. Sidious was very well versed in politics and leadership, while these were simply warriors. That's all they've really ever been. Secondly, Luke would likely become more powerful than Vader, and when this happens, the two would be forced to turn on one another, as is the very way of the Sith, and an internal civil war between the two leaders of the galaxy would cause chaos for everyone. Now, you may be thinking, well, what about Leia? Well, it's possible that she would never find out about her connection to Luke and Vader, and would likely be on the side that would have preferred to have seen Vader dead, following the events that happened and resulted in the destruction of Alderaan. So, she would probably have been killed in Vader and Luke's bid for power, without ever even knowing the truth. But what do you think would happen if Vader did abandon Sidious for his son and his rebellion? And how do you think it would affect the timeline? Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed. If so, please like and sub as it's always appreciated and really helps the channel grow. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at The Lore Guy for regular updates. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.